Do you think that is an appropriate use of those federal resources?
I do, actually. I think it's a disgrace that our nation's capital is crime-ridden. I think it's a disgrace that tourists and visitors come to Washington, D.C. and they don't feel safe. I think it's a disgrace that, roving bands of teenagers are riding, hundreds of dirt bikes around Washington, D.C., shooting guns, shooting off fireworks, and you have these roving bands of carjackers. It's a disgrace. This is our national capital. You shouldn't have to feel that way, whether you live there or whether you're visiting on the streets of Washington, D.C. It's a unique place because it's a federal district. It's not in a state. And I think the president, has rightly decided that something has to be done. It has a very high homicide rate when you compare it to other world capitals. And so I'm anxious to see how far he wants to take this. But frankly, I think for the people who live there and the people who visit there, they're going to welcome extra police presence on the street. That carjacking that happened to the White House staffer the other night, there were a couple of cops sitting there. Had they not been sitting there and witnessed that, I don't know what would have happened to that poor kid. He got beat up by 10 people, a 10-person gang. And so I think the more patrols you have, whether it's park police or whoever, the safer people will feel going around our nation's capital. They exist in a state of lawlessness. I mean, we have blue cities all over this country and blue states that have sanctuary laws where they have encouraged illegal immigration. I mean, that's the problem in California, is that illegal immigration has been welcomed and coddled. And then when you go in and try to enforce federal law, there was, all sorts of unrest and violence and mayhem on the streets. And so that was a situation brought about by the local officials there trying to resist, I think, the enforcement of federal immigration law. In Washington, D.C., everybody who lives there and everybody who visits there on a regular basis knows it's not safe. It is not safe. And there's even discussion in the ranks of the police department there. I think one guy's been put on suspension because they've been downplaying the crime statistics there to try to give people a false sense of security. So I don't think this is political. I think it's about safety. And in the case of California and other blue states, I think it's about the enforcement of federal immigration laws that are on the books. And you have Democrats in those places trying to resist that. I do not understand it.